Kelly, and in this video I'm going to show you how I made this pink background on this card here using the Emboss Resist technique along with some watercolor paints. So first I have a piece of Hero Arts white watercolor paper here, and I'm just going to coat the whole thing with my powder tool. And this is just eliminating any static from the paper since I'm going to be doing some embossing on it here in just a bit. And then I have my tiny ink spots background here, and I'm going to ink it up with some Versamark ink. And then I'm going to just place the watercolor paper face down on my stamp, press down really well. Since that watercolor paper has some texture, I want to make sure I get good coverage. And then I'm going to shake on some clear embossing powder. And white embossing powder would work fine for this technique too. I just chose to use clear here. And then I'll grab my heat gun and emboss the image. And just a little tip I wanted to share with you that I've just started doing is to first heat up the back side of my paper. And once it's nice and warm, I'll flip it over and then emboss my image. And I found that not only is it quicker to emboss, you don't have to hold the heat gun quite so long on your paper, but I seem to get smoother results this way. And I've noticed it specifically with white embossing powder and solid image stamps. And this also helps with your paper not warping quite so much. So that's just a little tip that I've started doing recently that has worked well for me. So now I'm going to add some color over this stamped image, and I'm going to be using some watercolor paints. And I have a bowl of water and a thicker paintbrush here. And first I'm just adding some water to my paints here to get them started, and I'm using quite a bit of water. And I'm starting with the first, with my lightest color of pink here at the bottom, and I'm just going to swipe it across my paper. And I've got quite a bit of water here. I want it to be a smooth look, I don't want it to be too streaky, and I want to have a smooth blend from one shade of pink to the next. So next I'm just grabbing my next darkest shade of pink here, and I'm going to put it right above the light pink and just try to blend those two together as much as I can. I really don't want to see any streaks, so I found the best way to do this is just to add more water right along the seam of the two colors, and this will just really give you a nice smooth finish and a nice gradient of color over the entire piece. So now I'm just going to add a couple more shades of pink on this piece, and I will speed it up here and show you what it looks like when it's finished. And then once I have that all blended how I want it, I'll just set it aside to dry. And then here I did another example where I used some blue and green watercolor paints. And these pieces will tend to warp just because you're adding so much water to the paper. What I like to do is stick them in a book overnight, or at least for a few hours before I'm going to use them on my cards. And finally, here are a couple cards I used with that pink panel. I first created this one with the center panel, and then I had some leftover strips that I had cut off the sides, and I created this card here. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks so much for watching.